Alrighty, so let's do a little mini news of the week episode. Despite the fact that there wasn't a lot of news that has happened in the past couple of days, I still want to do a mini news of the week episode because there was definitely some big news, at least a couple of big ones coming out of the coaching carousel in MLS. We saw a couple of head coach being relieved of their duty, and we also saw a couple of teams that hire a new head coach, and one of the team that of course have relieved their head coach of their duty is NYCFC, who officially fired head coach Nick Cushing just a couple of days ago. And this is not a big surprise. I mean, we knew this was coming. We knew that Nick Cushing time with NYCFC was coming short. Especially, there's already rumors that it seems like he's going to be heading back to Europe and coach there. It seems like it's a matter of time before he is being let go. And that game in the Hudson River Derby in the playoffs, I think that was probably the perfect time to do so because again you just kind of had a sense that game, not only NYCFC had more of the pressure to win that Hudson River Derby compared to the Red Bulls. For Nick Cushing, it feels like that game kind of was him playing the job for his job. If he weren't able to beat the Red Bulls and got eliminated by them, that was kind of the last straw in terms of the City Football Group. And it's also not to mention, it's hard to believe that Nick Cushing has kind of lasted among the longest out of a head coach that as taking the head coaching role of NYCFC. This is a team that likes to change head coach every so often, and it feels like with the way that Nick Cushing has been there for a bit now, it was a matter of time before NYCFC was going to change their head coach, and indeed that of course it is the case. Now, Inter Miami, they have officially announced the replacement of Tata Martino as they announced that they're hiring Javier Marschano as their new head coach. Now, obviously, this is not a big surprise considering, I mentioned before, some of the names that I was thinking that could be the new head coach of Inter Miami. As much as I know some people say, well, Jim Curran is basically the top coaching prospect that is out there. I didn't think Jim Curran was going to go to Inter Miami, especially the personality that he brings. It just doesn't fit Inter Miami. And then I was thinking, well, it's probably going to be a former Barcelona player, former teammate of Messi and friends. I wrote the name Xavi being there. I probably could have even uh thinking that maybe Andre Iniesta is going to be there as well. I don't think Iniesta has had any head coaching um experience. But one guy that has definitely done so that I actually didn't think of is Javier Marciano. Now, obviously, he hasn't really had a lot of experience in terms of head coaching, especially in the senior role. The last head coaching gig that he got was the Argentine U20 team, and he was actually the head coach of that Argentina team that went to the Olympics. And yeah, they didn't do so well in that Olympics. They really underachieved, and I've already heard that he didn't really do so well with that team as well. So yeah, this is definitely an interesting hiring, but again, it kind of makes sense because again, I just feel like with the way that Inter Miami, it seems like they're really bought in the whole former Barcelona kind of vibe. I mean, there's even rumors the fact that Neymar seems like he's going to be joining this team. It seems like we're going to have a reunite of the NFN front three like what we saw back in the mid 2010s, and whether or not if that is enough to trying to get themselves uh to win MLS Cup, that is to be determined to see. There's no doubt that I think next season Inter Miami is going to be good again. I mean, as long as Messi and friends and certainly the talent that this team has on the youth department continue to develop, this is a team that can definitely has a chance to repeat as Supporters Shield champion. Now, when it comes to the playoff time, that's I think is going to be the real measuring stick of this team. And again, for Javier Marciano, even though hasn't had a lot of experience, I'm pretty sure as long as he let Messi and friends do their things, yeah, it seems like it's going. This team is going to be successful. No matter what. I mean, it's kind of weird to say that a team could still be successful even though the head coaching role isn't strong. I talk about how coaching does matter in MLS, but it feels like Inter Miami maybe is a special case because of the talent that they of course had. It seems like even if they're gonna hire a mediocre head coach or a head coach that doesn't have a lot of experience like Javier Marciano does when it comes to senior level, it probably still would be enough for them to do well in the regular season. But obviously the postseason, that's gonna be the big question mark heading into the next season as well. And then St. Louis City. So they also name a new head coach. So it seems like John Hackworth is not going to be coming back next year and be promoted as the permanent head coach. That was the big question, and I even mentioned in the moving forward series, are they going to stick with John Hackworth? Seems like instead they're going to go with a new head coach, and they're going to go with Olof Mellberg as their new head coach. Now, this is a guy that I have never heard before. I had to kind of do a little research, and it seems like he had a good playing career. He played a couple of times in the Premier League, specifically with Aston Villa. But in terms of the head coaching role, he's been mostly a head coach in the Swedish league, and yeah, it is definitely a bit of a risk. And again, last time I've seen a head coach coming from the Swedish league, yeah, that didn't go so well. I mean, as a Quakes fan, I remember when Mikael Starhay took over as the head coach of the Quakes, and there was so much promise that he was going to bring some good things to this team, and no, that team ends up to be one of the worst team in MLS history, and that was equally the worst season that the Quakes have ever had prior to this year as well. So this is a bit of a risk that St. Louis, of course, has. I mean, there's question now whether or not if he is considered to be an upgrade of what John Hatwork has done. I mean, again, the big debate heading into this offseason is the fact that what John Hackworth done to the St. Louis team, did he deserve enough to get a permanent role? And it's hard to tell. I mean, some St. Louis fans that feels like he deserved it because the result shows that this team was much better when they were under Brad Lee Carnell, but some people say that it's not. It kind of isn't because it's a little bit misleading at times where his tactics could be a little bit questionable. But again, now you're bringing a guy that is kind of a little unknown, and you don't know if he's going to do well with this team. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a very interesting thing hiring, and there's no doubt that St. Louis fans feel like they have like this hiring has to go right, because if this hiring doesn't go right, then there should be some question in terms of the front office. Because again, as good as this team was in the first season, that kind of good feel good story can really wear off in a new fan base in a quick fashion. I mean, just look at Atlanta United. Of all the good things that they've done in the beginning, and the front office started making some bad decision, and it doesn't take long before the front for the fan base started to turn on the front office. Now, speaking of Atlanta, so Rob Valentino, he will not return as the Atlanta United interim manager. So Rob Valentino have basically shared that he is not going to be returning. He even sent a heartfelt message to the Atlanta United fan base, and I'm pretty sure Atlanta United and their fan base is going to really miss Rob Valentino of the job that he's done. I'm kind of surprised that they decide not to promote him as a permanent head coach, because again, he has done a really good job to stabilize the ship to a point where he actually got the team to sneak into a playoff position. And I thought this was maybe going to be similar to what we saw with RSL. How Pablo Marschano the took over as an interim role and got this RSL team playing very well to a point where he was eventually promoted as a permanent head coach. I thought this was going to be the same case too, but no. Instead, it seems like Atlanta is going the other way, and again, there's a sense that it seems like Jim Kern might be the guy that they might be chasing for. Again, there are some big names out there in terms of the coaching candidate. Jim Kern obviously is the biggest name that is out there, and I won't be surprised if Atlanta might do so. NYCFC might be another team that is looking to try to get get uh get Jim Kern as well, especially there's no doubt that Jim Kern, I feel like he's going to be joining a team that will definitely be willing to spend and invest in the squad, something that he didn't really have a lot with the Union besides the youth movement that the Union has had. But it will be interesting to see where he does end up, and whether or not if Atlanta is going to win the race in terms of the Jim Kern sweepstake. Now, moving on, Luis Suarez has signed a contract extension through 2025, so this is not a big surprise. There was talk that it seems like Luis Suarez is coming back for another song season, especially with the way that as long as Messi and friends is still there, he's probably going to stay there, and especially if Neymar is going to be there. Again, you just had a sense that Suarez was going to stick around, and again, there could be a case we might see an MSN reunion with Inter Miami, depending on if Neymar does indeed come to MLS and sign with Inter Miami. Now, John Thornton is named as the executive of the year. Now, this is a bit surprising because I know John Thornton has considered to be one of the best GM out there. He has guided this LAFC team to multiple successful season. But my question is, and I even talked about this when I did the review of that game. How yes, John Thornton has done well in terms of building this squad, but there's also some major flaws that he has, and again, some major flaws and some bad decisions made is bringing some of these big name player that is way past their prime, and it just doesn't do much to the squad or move the needle of the squad. An example of this is bringing Olivier Giroud, and how it is a big name, but he didn't really do nothing with LAFC. He didn't score a single goal, and now it seems like he kind of maybe have learned nothing, and seems like going to bring in Antoine Griezmann to the team, even though Griezmann is a little bit younger than Giroud, and I assume that he could do a little bit better than what Giroud has done. Again, it just feels like for this LAFC team, it's unnecessary for them to bring in these age-old players. They don't have to be like the Galaxy, like where they bring an age-old player and think that of course would work out. And yeah, again, I think there were definitely some other GM out there that deserve this award. I think one name that a lot of people throw out there is Will Clems. Very surprised to not see him win this award, consider the job he's done with the Galaxy, and especially how good they have been in the playoffs, and how well he built the team, and all the good star players that they brought in the offseason has just blossomed to be a Galaxy team that has just been an absolute juggernaut in this whole season. So yeah, again, congratulations certainly for John Thornton of winning this, but it's a little surprised that he won it, considering that yes, LAFC kind of still did very well, but you can't say they had a successful season, especially with the way that they exit once again, and losing in another big game like they did against the Sounders in the playoffs. And then going back to NYCFC, they are set to have the groundbreaking ceremony somewhere next week for their new stadium that they're going to be building. So this is definitely exciting for NYCFC fans, because yes, finally they're going to get this project underway, and in just a couple of years later, we will not have to worry about where NYCFC is going to play for their next home game. I mean, it has to be frustrating if you're an NYCFC fans, and kind of been almost the butts of jokes the fact that they've been playing in pretty much every single stadium possible, because again, even though Yankee Stadium is considered to be their permanent home, they're not the permanent venue, and in some way they're just paying rent to the Yankees, and if the Yankees are playing a weekend series, they are basically forced to play elsewhere. And if the Mets are also have a weekend series, then they're basically kicked out to a point where they might even have to play in their rival stadium, Red Bull Arena, and that obviously is not only embarrassing, but whenever NYCFC play at Red Bull Arena, nobody attends the game. Like it just looked like a very bad atmosphere. It looks like a COVID level kind of atmosphere, and it's great to see that NYCFC finally will get themselves the permanent home in a couple of years, and there's no doubt that once that stadium does open, that is going to be on my bucket list of stadium that I want to visit, because again, it looks like a really nice stadium, but it's most importantly, it's a stadium that has been long time coming for this NYCFC franchise. And then finally, in terms of the last news of the week, and this actually just happened recently, where Ernest Tanner of the Philadelphia Union says that there's a chance where the Union might not be going to the Leeds Cup in 2025. Now, this is big because there's been talks about how the Leeds Cup is going to be next year, and there's also talk of the fact that whether or not if every single team is going to participate in the U.S. Open Cup, or is it going to be similar to like what we did this year, where only a certain amount of team will participate in the U.S. Open Cup, and that really damaged the reputation in terms of the U.S. Open Cup. And the Leeds Cup has been under heavy scrutinize, and especially I think after this year of how you could say that the Leeds Cup was kind of a massive failure. You started to see how the attendance were really bad in some of these game, and fans sometimes just virtually don't want to show up because it's a clear cash cow kind of competition. It feels like maybe we're getting to a point where, again, I know obviously they're not going to get rid of the Leeds Cup, as much as I know a lot of people want the Leeds Cup to be abolished. It's not going to happen, especially under the Apple TV deal. But will we see a scale down, working it to a point where it doesn't really disrupt the season and just absolutely killed the playoff format as well. Like everybody complains about the playoff format, and people don't know that the main culprit of the playoff format, or at least one of the main culprit that is, it's the Leeds Cup. I mean, if it wasn't for the Leeds Cup, we would not had a situation right now where we're going to be playing MLS Cup in December. We would be in the off season right now. Like a couple of years when we're just playing single elimination, we would be in the off season right now. We would be already talking about a team that's already crowned as an MLS Cup champion. So there's no doubt that we'll see how the Leeds Cup is going to be in the near future. I do think that if you in the long term, this competition might be abolished. I think they might realize how bad this competition is, and that how not only the ratings are not going to be there, but the attendance are not going to be there. I mean, they'll still make some money, but is it worth it to continue to run a competition that obviously it just kind of started to be lost its meaning, and nobody really cares about it. It's almost kind of like an afterthought kind of tournament that maybe eventually they might reconsider. But for now, they're gonna still continue this competition, and again, it will be very interesting to see whether or not if we're gonna see every single team participate. Are we just gonna see certain amount of team participate in this competition, similar to what we saw when the Leagues Cup was first introduced? I remember when it was first introduced before this big format that they had for the last 2 years. It was only a certain team that was able to participate in this competition, and that was actually good thing because certain team was able to play against the best of the team. You get the best of both world, where you have the best of MLS play against the best of Liga MX. And although you could also argue that kind of maybe oversaturated because of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, or as it was called back then, the CONCACAF Champions League already exists. At least it wasn't every single team that participated, and it definitely has kind of a little bit more meaning because only certain team do so, and you play against the best of best and not play against a random Liga MX team. And I think it's also been proven the last 2 years when it comes to these MLS team, when they face against some of these lowly Liga MX team, it is not a competition whatsoever. I mean, while the top team in Liga MX can definitely go toe to toe against an MLS team, some of these bottom feeders, most of them don't really stand a chance. Against some of the better one. Maybe some of the lowly MLS team also that doesn't do that well against the lowly Liga MX team. Though more times than not, we've seen that the MLS team has the upper edge, even against some of the lowly teams. So, yeah, again, there's no doubt. I think there's going to be a big reform in terms of the Leeds Cup, and we'll see what kind of reform it's going to be, and we'll also see what kind of reform it does when it comes to other things, because this could be a really big ripple effect of other competition too, like the U.S. Open Cup, or maybe even the playoff format heading into next season as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of this mini version of the News of the Week episode, even though it's still 18 minutes long. That is. We spent a lot of time talking about this because this is very interesting. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.